Mmatsheko, very excited to explore the Cape Malay culture. Listen, I think, when we look broadly at the Cape Malay community and the uniqueness that they've just got to offer the world, not just South Africa, is really worth talking about. This is a culture and a heritage that we can trace back to the 16th and the 17th century. Okay, when we look at the Dutch East Indian history as well, the Cape Colony and all of that. So we're going to be exploring everything in this next conversation. We're going to be looking at cuisine, okay, so all the delicious flavors of Cape Malay food, the buwipis, the samosas, the curries, all of that, and talking about the language, the unique Afrikaans dialect that they've got, the music, arts and culture, when you think about the Cape Malay choirs, for example. The cultural festivals are such a treat to observe and to also be a part of. So this Heritage Month, which is observed in South Africa during the month of September, Sisonke Gallery on Bree Street in Cape Town is inviting the public to step into an exhibition titled A Glimpse Between Memoirs. It's running until the 28th of September. And this is going to be a very interesting showcase because it is a collaborative effort, okay? And we're going to be looking at this from a holistic point, like I'd mentioned, all the elements of identity, of storytelling, transformation during this entire month. On the line with us, we're joined by Aaliyah Ahmed, who is head curator from our Cape Town Heritage, and Shaunez Benting, who is exhibiting artist, I beg your pardon, of A Glimpse Between Memoirs. Welcome to you both. Welcome to Channel Africa. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Let me start with you, Aaliyah. Perhaps we can talk about just the creation of this wonderful exhibition and what you ultimately want to see as the desired outcomes.
So yes, A Glimpse Between Memoirs is one of the exhibitions that our Cape Town Heritage has put together, and the purpose of the exhibition was to highlight the childhood memories of the artists, so Shaunez Benting being one of them and Walid Ajhum being the other. Shaunez looks at his childhood and chooses to portray his childhood memories in a very difficult and dark time in South Africa. And he chooses to show how there are certain visual elements that he grew up with that are still very much prevalent in at least Cape Town today. And Walid, he looks at his personal memories and he dives into a lot of the heritage that he heard from his mother and his maternal side. And together they look at how looking back into the past and looking at nostalgia, not in a somber way, but in a way that can light up your current situation and give you a type of hope and resilience that was endured by the artists themselves and many people that came from the Cape Malay community. Even though when we say Cape Malay, we speak broadly, but Cape Malay, encompassing a range of people that don't come from a specific geographical area, but rather they come from, what we know today as, Indonesia and Malaysia, but they came from Angola, they came from North Africa, they came from Central Africa. And it's about trying to understand how does South Africa or Cape Town's history in relation to slavery and colonialism, how does that connect to a broader African history? When telling, histories, of course, we love to look into the nuances of it. And I think that's what makes it very distinctive and very special. But it's not to cut off, the South Africa from the rest of Africa, especially when it comes to the slave trade.
It is 49 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with Aaliyah Ahmed, head curator from our Cape Town Heritage, and Shaunez Benting, one of the exhibiting artists at this year's A Glimpse Between Memoirs, which will be running up until the 28th of September in Bree Street at the Sisonke Gallery. We'll continue the conversation. We'll bring Shaunez into the conversation right after this.
The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Millvest Advisory and the city of Mmatsheko, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
Well, let's continue our conversation about the, shall we call it, A Glimpse Between Memoirs, an exhibition that will be taking place this month, Heritage Month in South Africa, that is in September, at the Sisonke Gallery in Bree Street in Cape Town. And let's welcome to the conversation Shaunez Benting, who will be one of the exhibiting artists. Shaunez, thank you so much for your time. Talk to us about your childhood. Paint a picture, if you will, about your childhood and your Cape Malayan heritage and roots during that time.
Greetings to you all and to your listeners. I'm Shaunez Benting, as you heard, and I'm an artist here from the Cape Flats. I spent the first 5.5 years in a hospital in Red Cross, so it was there that I actually started doodling. And when I kind of came out of hospital at that age, they didn't think that I would make it in normal school, but I made it. I made it in normal school. I excelled at school, and my childhood was I won't call it bittersweet, but I don't know if you know the story of Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer.
Yeah,
that guy, that little boy that grew up on Mississippi side, and he had all these friends. So growing up in Bonte, which is part of the Cape Flats, which is also a result of the Group Areas Act. That's why there is a Bonte. I had a very exciting childhood in the midst of apartheid. I mean, apartheid was rife, but as a child, you're innocent until you kind of become like in your mid teenage years, and then you understand certain stuff. But as a child, I had a wonderful kind of a Tom Sawyer adventurous childhood, because we lived opposite Bontiville Station, and behind Bontiville Station there was an industrial area that we used to just scout around during school holidays.
I find it so beautiful that you've channeled your life experience into art, Shaunez, and I love the thread, weaving the thread, thinking of Tom Sawyer, which is so exemplary of how you explore. Talk to us about how art can preserve heritage, from your perspective, especially when you look at, preserving it for future generations. Because as I understand it as well, there's a lot of what you do in terms of your art that draws from youth, from youngness, from childhood, and how you reimagine those compositions. So talk to us about the importance of preserving heritage and history for future generations through artistic expression.
Yeah, so together with the Our Cape Town Heritage, whose main aim is obviously also preservation of heritage and culture. I was fortunate enough, I will say, born a Cape Malay, because at that time there was a different birth certificate actually issued to the different races, and even to the different colored community. So if one speaks of preservation and of heritage and culture, art is also a platform or a vehicle that one can use to kind of actually tell a story. You can put it on the canvas. The canvas can tell a story. My work is mostly representative as opposed to abstract art. I had an extremely adventurous childhood, and I remember all the quirky stuff as a youngster because I depict a lot of them in my work.
Aaliyah, I want to talk to you about how our Cape Town heritage uses projects like these to preserve and share the stories of Cape Malay communities, and especially during Heritage Month in South Africa.
Yeah, so when the director, started our Cape Town Heritage, she realized that it wasn't that there was a lack of artist or culture that was being preserved. There was just no sort of central organizer, so it wasn't that, things were not happening. I think the one thing that I love about our, culture is that it's still a very living culture. Yeah. So even though we are, talking about it, in a gallery space and in exhibition terms, the main idea is to keep on preserving the lived heritage and culture. And what we try to do is that we, work with artists that, come from communities or have histories that have either been misrepresented or are presented, but maybe there are certain stereotypes around it. Yeah. And we basically try and help them be able to put an exhibition together. Like I said, the skill is there, the voice is there. It's not about, giving a voice to marginalized artists, but for us, we're trying to guide audiences how to listen. How do you listen to, maybe a community or people, a community that you don't know much about? How do you actively listen despite having maybe a lot of stereotypes in your head, or kind of having this homogenous idea of a certain group of people in your mind? So for us, Heritage Month is a very exciting month, but I suppose we just try to make these stories and spaces where art is, collected and presented accessible to the people that do come from these communities. And hence why, with exhibitions like this, we also have we have two great researchers that focus on archival history. Unfortunately, everyone's very, used to watching a 2-minute reel. No one wants to go and dig in the archives. So what we try and do is that we bring, very skilled, researchers coming, and they're doing the work for us, and they're presenting it in ways that make it very accessible to the youth, to young people, to maybe older people that have forgotten or, just got busy. But we try to do the work that we do on multiple levels, especially, like Shaunez said, given, the Group Areas Act and, the CBD in Cape Town actually being the hub where a lot of members of our community lived and were raised, and the slave trade happened there. Now, with gentrification, it's a completely different space, and a lot of the original culture of that community and area is being sort of gentrified to cafes and businesses, and there's this constant struggle between, economic growth, but also preserving the roots of that community. So we also then try and bring in, people from areas that they, were forced into that are outside of the business district, and it's very difficult to get there, whether that's from a transport perspective or from an ideological perspective. Sometimes people feel that these galleries are not for us. How should I act? How do I speak? How do I dress? So what we try to do is that if you cannot come to the physical exhibition due to any of those restrictions, we try and put everything on our website so that it does become a living digital archive, so that we try to problem solve in a way where, there's obviously the exciting exhibition, and everyone looks forward to that, but we're also trying to look at people that, might not have access to it, that have, maybe they need someone to tell them, like, you are welcome, you can come here, the space was originally yours, spatially and geographically. So we try and do that, not just in Heritage Month, but we try and work harder at it in the month, that is dedicated for the work that we do.
This is very exciting, Aaliyah. You've literally answered all the questions, in that response. Also, just in terms of, I think the success of this is really rooted in how you are able to, and I think really just big love to you as the head curator and the entire team, how you've been able to balance the personal memory of the artist with the collective heritage and really taking people on this journey. So how can we actually then, you speak about a very big issue of access. Just give us literally in 20 seconds, how can we access this information? How can we attend and get access to all this wonderful information and this exhibition?
So A Glimpse Between Memoirs will be at the Sisonke Gallery in Cape Town, and it runs until the 27th of September. So you can go in person and check it out. If you cannot, the images and the history and narratives of the artist is available on our website, and our website is www.ourcapetownheritage.org. And everything is there. Everything that I've said is there. There's also a artist application on the website. If any artists are listening.
Aaliyah, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut you. We're going to have to park it there for now. We'll go onto the website to find out more information. Thank you so much for your time, Aaliyah Ahmed and Shaunez Benting there. Listen, A Glimpse Between Memoirs. It's 4 p.m. Central African time. We've taken up all your time. It's now time to hand over to the Queen of in Business coming up next. But for now, let's get the latest in news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, 80 Ethiopian inmates escaped from a highly security prison, and Nigeria has deported 50 Chinese nationals. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Pro-opposition Ethiopian media says about 80 inmates have escaped from a high-security prison in the capital Addis Ababa by colluding with guards. The report says the guards also fired the jail. It said other wardens fired on those escaping, wounding some. There's been no comment from the government. Build One South Africa Party has set out clear conditions for it to consider joining the government of national unity. Busa leader Musi Maimane says they will not join the GNU with parties that are racist and want to divide the country. The Busa leader says while the ANC has not approached them for formal discussions, informal talks with various parties in the GNU are ongoing. Maimane addressed the media briefing in Rosebank, Johannesburg earlier.
Non-racialism, upholding of the Constitution, their commitment to an economy that grows. People who are not corrupt, and we have ethical leaders. That can spread across multiple places. Because there are parties that are patently corrupt. Now you have those parties also in the GNU. I can't. I have a genuine challenge with parties who simply say, we only represent this race. That is a challenge. So I'm not going to say this one, that one.
South Africa's Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mmatsheko Mosito, has issued a powerful call to action on gender equality amid rapid technological advancements. Speaking at the annual UNISA Southward Women Dialogue in Pretoria, Mosito stressed the urgent need to address the deep-rooted gender bias embedded in technology and society. She warned that without transforming existing societal structures, women will continue to face systematic barriers.
The rapid technological changes that have reshaped how the world works, that have been brought about by technologies such as artificial intelligence, have created avenues through which women can redesign the structure of power. There is an opportunity to place a robust gender mainstreaming perspective in technology and innovation by looking at how digitization has exacerbated power asymmetries between the owners and the users of digital devices, and taking measures to distribute the benefits of digitization more equally. The reality that we see is that the world has a gender equality problem, and without intervention, artificial intelligence mirrors the gender bias currently existing in our society.
South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation has dismissed the